launches the BRP Rajah Sulayman, the first of its class offshore patrol vessel.
Dumating na sa Pilipinas ang pinakabagong barko ng Philippine Navy na isang offshore patrol vessel at tatawaging BRP Rajah Sulayman.
What does real sovereignty look like at sea? A flag on a map or steel in the water? This week, the Philippines offered its answer as the Philippine Navy welcomed its newest offshore patrol vessel, the future BRP Rajah Sulayman, PS-20. It is not just a ship arriving at port. It is a statement sailing into one of the world's most contested maritime spaces. In an era where gray zone pressure replaces open war, the quiet arrival of a patrol vessel can matter more than 1,000 speeches. Thousands of islands, overstretched sailors, fishermen caught between livelihoods and foreign hulls, and Coast Guard radios crackling with reports that arrive faster than ships can respond.
Lahat ng tauhan magtungo sa paliparan.
For years, the gap between responsibility and capability defined the Philippine Navy's daily reality. BRP Rajah Sulayman changes that equation. As the first of 6 modern OPVs under the country's naval modernization drive, it brings endurance, presence, and persistence. The unglamorous but decisive traits that win maritime contests long before missiles ever matter. Now zoom out and compare. Vietnam has steadily expanded its patrol fleet to harden its maritime posture. Indonesia fields large OPVs to police vast archipelagic waters. Japan deploys high-end Coast Guard cutters as strategic tools, not just law enforcement platforms. Even smaller regional navies are investing in hulls that stay at sea longer, see farther, and respond faster. With Rajah Sulayman, Manila is signaling that it refuses to be the exception, that it, too, understands that maritime power today is built ship by ship, not headline by headline. Named after a pre-colonial leader who defended sovereignty long before modern navies existed, BRP Rajah Sulayman, PS-20, bridges history and hard reality. This vessel is not about escalation. It is about presence. Not about provocation, but protection. In a region where ships often speak louder than diplomats, the Philippines has just added a stronger, steadier voice, and it's only the beginning. The arrival was choreographed like a message, not a routine transit. On January 17, 2026, as the future BRP Rajah Sulayman crossed into Philippine waters, it was met by an unmistakable escort, BRP Jose Rizal, FF-150, the Navy's first missile-capable frigate. In naval terms, this pairing was deliberate. The Philippines' most modern surface combatant welcomed its newest patrol workhorse, signaling continuity between deterrence and day-to-day maritime control. The rendezvous off the coast of Zambales was more than ceremonial. According to naval planners, coordinated escort operations like this are increasingly emphasized as part of fleet readiness, with the Navy now conducting over 30% more multi-ship coordination drills compared to pre-modernization levels. An escort is not about optics alone, one senior naval officer noted during the arrival. It's about command and control discipline, seamanship, and showing that every unit, old or new, plugs into the same operational system. Following the handover at sea, Rajah Sulayman proceeded to Naval Station Jose Andrada, where post-delivery inspections and systems checks began immediately. These procedures are critical. Modern OPVs integrate advanced navigation, sensors, and communication suites that must be calibrated to Philippine operating conditions before commissioning. Navy officials emphasize that early inspections help cut initial deployment delays by up to 25%, allowing new vessels to reach operational status faster than in past acquisition cycles. What stood out most to observers, however, was the seamless coordination between platforms of different classes and roles. As one fleet commander put it, this arrival wasn't just about a new ship. It was about demonstrating that the Philippine Navy is learning to move as a network, escorting, integrating, and operating as one force. In a maritime environment where presence must be constant and credible, that kind of professionalism sends a signal far beyond the pier. At the heart of the Philippines' naval modernization effort sits BRP Rajah Sulayman, not just another hull, but the lead ship of an entirely new offshore patrol force. Classified as an offshore patrol vessel, OPV, under the Rajah Sulayman class, the ship is based on the proven HDP 2400, HDP 2200 plus design. a platform optimized for long-endurance patrols, maritime surveillance, and sustained presence across vast sea spaces. In practical terms, this means the Navy gains a vessel capable of staying at sea for weeks, not days, covering thousands of nautical miles without relying on constant port support. Built by HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, HHI, in Ulsan, South Korea, one of the world's top naval shipbuilders, PS-20 represents a generational leap in quality and reliability. HHI has delivered more than 100 naval and Coast Guard vessels globally, and Philippine defense planners have repeatedly cited construction consistency and life cycle support as key reasons for the selection.
As one naval official remarked during the handover, this ship is designed for presence. It's built to patrol, to endure, and to be seen. Exactly what an archipelagic navy needs. As the flagship of a 6-vessel OPV class, Rajah Sulayman will set the operational standard for the rest of the fleet. Doctrine, training models, and patrol patterns will all be shaped around this platform, effectively anchoring the Navy's shift towards sustained offshore operations rather than reactive coastal response. In comparative terms, this mirrors how Indonesia and Vietnam have used lead OPVs to redefine patrol coverage, or how Japan leverages large cutters as command nodes rather than simple law enforcement ships. The name itself carries weight. Rajah Sulayman, the pre-colonial ruler who resisted foreign conquest in the late 16th century, symbolizes sovereignty before treaties, deterrence before alliances. By assigning his name to the Navy's newest patrol flagship, the Philippines is drawing a direct line between historical resistance and modern maritime defense. It's a reminder that while technology evolves, the core mission remains unchanged: to protect national waters, assert presence, and ensure that control at sea is never taken for granted. At first glance, the numbers behind BRP Rajah Sulayman tell a quiet story, but read closely, and they reveal why this ship fundamentally changes how the Philippine Navy operates at sea. With a full load displacement of around 2,400 to 2,450 tons and a length of roughly 94 meters, the vessel sits in the sweet spot between endurance and agility. It is large enough to stay on station for long periods, yet nimble enough to respond quickly across the archipelago. A top speed of about 22 knots, paired with an economical 15-knot cruising speed, allows the ship to chase, shadow, or sustain patrols without burning through fuel too fast. A critical factor for a navy covering vast waters with limited assets. Where Rajah Sulayman truly stands out is reach and persistence. A range of approximately 5,500 nautical miles and an endurance of up to 30 days at sea mean this OPV is built for presence, not port hopping. In real terms, that's a month of continuous patrols, surveillance, or disaster response without resupply. Exactly the kind of persistence needed in the West Philippine Sea and remote maritime zones where gaps are routinely exploited. The combat and mission systems reinforce this role. Armed with a 76mm naval gun, supported by two 30mm remote weapon systems and heavy machine guns, the ship carries enough firepower to deter and defend without crossing into escalation-heavy warfighting territory. Its advanced radar, navigation, and combat management systems give commanders a clearer picture of what's happening around them, who's approaching, who's lingering, and who doesn't belong. Add to that a stern mission bay and RHIB capability, and the vessel becomes highly modular. Boarding teams, search and rescue crews, or mission-specific payloads can be deployed rapidly as situations evolve. That flexibility is the real strength. BRP Rajah Sulayman is optimized not for a single mission, but for the messy reality of modern maritime security, patrolling vast sea lanes, intercepting smugglers, countering piracy, protecting fisheries, conducting search and rescue, and delivering humanitarian assistance during disasters. This is where constabulary duties and defense roles blur, and where this OPV thrives. In a maritime environment where threats don't arrive neatly labeled, the Navy now has a platform designed to adapt day after day, mission after mission, without leaving the fight or the people behind. The arrival of BRP Rajah Sulayman is not just a fleet update, it is a strategic recalibration. At a time when activity by foreign naval and Coast Guard vessels in the West Philippine Sea remains persistently high, this OPV gives the Philippine Navy something it has long needed: credible, continuous presence. In maritime security, showing up matters, and staying matters even more. Rajah Sulayman is designed to do both:
With its extended range and endurance, the vessel dramatically strengthens Philippine presence across the Exclusive Economic Zone, EEZ, reducing patrol gaps that have historically been exploited by illegal actors and gray zone operations. Instead of reactive deployments after incidents make headlines, the Navy can now sustain forward patrols, monitoring, documenting, and deterring activities before they escalate. This shift from episodic response to persistent coverage is a quiet but powerful change in the balance at sea. The ship also boosts the country's ability to confront illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing and transnational maritime crime, challenges that cost the Philippines billions annually in lost resources and livelihoods. Equipped with modern sensors, RHIBs, and boarding capabilities, Rajah Sulayman enables faster interception, evidence collection, and coordination with Coast Guard and civilian agencies. For coastal communities and fishermen, that translates into protection that is felt, not just promised. Beyond enforcement, the OPV strengthens the protection of commercial sea lines and national maritime rights, ensuring safer passage for trade and energy flows that underpin the Philippine economy. In strategic terms, Rajah Sulayman sits at the intersection of law enforcement and defense, visible enough to deter coercion, restrained enough to avoid escalation. In a contested maritime environment where presence is policy, this vessel gives Manila a steadier hand and a stronger voice at sea. The arrival of BRP Rajah Sulayman is inseparable from a much bigger story, the long-awaited transformation of the Philippine Navy itself. Acquired under the revised Armed Forces of the Philippines modernization program, Horizon 2, the vessel represents a decisive break from decades of reliance on aging, hand-me-down platforms, some dating back to the World War II era. For the first time in generations, the Navy is rebuilding its patrol force around modern, long-range, purpose-built ships, designed not just to sail, but to stay. The OPV program marks a structural shift. By expanding the offshore patrol fleet from 11 to 17 vessels, Manila is prioritizing endurance, presence, and coverage over sheer numbers of lightly equipped hulls. This evolution reflects hard lessons learned in recent years. Sovereignty cannot be enforced by ships that cannot reach contested areas, remain on station, or operate safely in demanding conditions. Equally important, the program highlights deepening defense cooperation with South Korea, combining shipbuilding expertise with technology transfer and joint training, strengthening local capacity alongside fleet growth. Once commissioned, BRP Rajah Sulayman is expected to become a regular fixture in both littoral and offshore patrol zones, including areas of heightened sensitivity. Rather than operating in isolation, the OPV will integrate tightly with the Navy's growing surface fleet, working alongside platforms such as BRP Jose Rizal and its sister OPVs to form layered patrol and response packages. The ship's adaptability allows it to pivot seamlessly between roles, conducting routine sovereignty patrols, responding to maritime incidents, or joining joint and multilateral exercises with allied navies. This interoperability focus is deliberate. Modern naval operations are rarely solo efforts, and Rajah Sulayman is being positioned as a connector, able to plug into regional exercises, shared surveillance efforts, and coordinated responses during both peacetime and periods of elevated tension. The OPV program was formalized in 2022, when the Philippine government signed a contract with Hyundai Heavy Industries valued at approximately 30 billion pesos for 6 vessels. Delivery is scheduled between 2026 and 2028, ensuring a steady, phased enhancement of naval capability rather than a one-off upgrade. Leading the class is BRP Rajah Sulayman, followed by Rajah Lakandula, Rajah Humaban, Sultan Kudarat, Datu Marikudo, and Datu Sikatuna, names that deliberately anchor modern naval power in pre-colonial history and sovereignty. Together, these ships will replace outdated patrol platforms while dramatically expanding the Navy's ability to maintain sustained presence across critical maritime zones. Regionally, the impact goes beyond hardware. Enhanced patrol capability functions as both deterrence and reassurance, deterring illegal incursions and maritime crime, while reassuring partners that the Philippines can meaningfully contribute to shared maritime security. The OPVs strengthen cooperation with ASEAN neighbors and allied navies, supporting joint patrol concepts, exercises, and information sharing without escalating into overt militarization. In a broader Indo-Pacific context, This investment signals intent. Manila is not outsourcing its maritime security. It is building the capacity to uphold maritime order and sovereignty independently, while remaining interoperable with partners. That balance matters in a region where miscalculation is as dangerous as weakness. The arrival of BRP Rajah Sulayman is a defining moment, not because it is the biggest or most heavily armed ship in the fleet, but because it represents a new operational mindset. As the first of 6 OPVs, it lays the foundation for a Navy built around persistence, professionalism, and credible presence. Symbolically and strategically, the vessel stands for enhanced maritime defense, an unambiguous commitment to sovereignty, and a platform for deeper regional partnerships. As additional OPVs arrive through 2028, the Philippine Navy will not just be larger, it will be more resilient, more visible, and far better prepared to operate in an increasingly contested maritime environment.
If you found this analysis valuable, share your perspective in the comments. Your insights help deepen the conversation and sharpen our understanding of evolving regional dynamics. Thank you, and we will see you soon in our next geopolitical discussion.
And I'm happy to note that companies in the Republic of Korea have proven their quality, their reliability, and good faith in negotiations. Governance standards are kept high. Therefore, we look forward to working with you on a sustainable and sustained basis.
When a Navy orders warships, it is never just buying steel. It is buying time, options, and leverage. In December 2025, the Philippines made exactly that kind of decision, quietly signing a contract that carries consequences far beyond shipyards and balance sheets. Manila confirmed an agreement with HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, facilitated through South Korea's Defense Acquisition Program Administration, for the construction of 2 next-generation 3,200-ton guided missile frigates to be delivered by 2029. Valued at roughly $587 million, the deal marks one of the most consequential surface combatant acquisitions in Philippine naval history. On paper, this looks like a continuation of modernization. In reality, it signals something sharper. A deliberate shift from presence-based patrolling toward credible, networked deterrence. For decades, the Philippine Navy operated with limited air defense, modest sensors, and minimal ability to fight as part of a wider maritime system. These new frigates are designed to change that equation, bringing modern combat management systems, advanced sensors, and missile integration that allow ships not just to sail, but to see, track, and fight in contested waters. The timing is not accidental. Pressure in the South China Sea and the West Philippine Sea has intensified steadily, moving from diplomatic disputes to persistent gray zone encounters involving coast guards, maritime militias, and increasingly capable naval forces. In this environment, hull count alone does not deter. Capability does. Defense analysts cited by the Defense Post describe the deal as a significant leap in the Philippine Navy's ability to conduct modern, networked naval operations. A careful choice of words that points to interoperability, sensor fusion, and combat credibility rather than raw firepower.
In every mission, the Navy proves that maritime strength is measured by the character, clarity of mission, and the commitment of those who serve. That same commitment to duty was clearly seen in the West Philippine Sea and in other maritime outposts.
For the Philippine Navy, these frigates represent more than replacement tonnage. They reflect a doctrinal evolution, from reactive defense to forward-looking maritime control within an alliance-friendly framework. South Korea's growing role as Manila's defense supplier also matters. It signals diversification away from single-source dependence and alignment with partners that combine advanced technology, political reliability, and competitive timelines.
In short, this is not a headline-grabbing arms race moment. It is something more durable. The Philippines is methodically building a surface fleet designed for the kind of maritime environment it now faces. Crowded, contested, and constantly watched. These frigates will not change the balance overnight, but they quietly raise the cost of coercion,
which is precisely what effective deterrence is supposed to do. Geography has always been the Philippines' greatest strategic asset and its most demanding responsibility. With more than 7,600 islands spread across vital sea lanes and an exclusive economic zone exceeding 2.2 million square kilometers, the country is, by definition, a maritime state. Its security, economy, and sovereignty do not begin at land borders, they begin at sea. This reality places the Philippine Navy at the center of national defense in a way few land-centric countries fully experience.
That responsibility has only intensified in recent years.
Tensions in the South China Sea, particularly around disputed reefs, shoals, and critical sea lanes, have shifted from episodic diplomatic disputes to constant on-the-water pressure. Foreign Coast Guard patrols, maritime militia vessels, and gray zone operations now occur with increasing frequency, testing response times and endurance rather than triggering outright conflict. In this environment, absence is interpreted as acquiescence. Presence becomes policy. The economic dimension is just as stark. More than 90% of Philippine trade by volume moves through sea lines of communication. Any disruption, whether from coercion, miscalculation, or crisis, directly impacts food security, energy imports, and industrial supply chains. It is in this context that a senior naval official's remark, "Naval presence equals sovereignty," carries real weight.
Modern surface combatants are not symbolic assets. They are the platforms through which maritime law, deterrence, and national claims are physically enforced. The decision to acquire additional next-generation frigates is therefore not an isolated procurement, but part of a broader doctrinal shift under Horizon 3 of the Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program, covering the 2023 to 2028 period. This phase marks a decisive transition away from decades of internal security focus toward credible external defense, a change driven as much by geography as by geopolitics. Horizon 3 places heavy emphasis on maritime and air domain awareness, integrated surveillance and sensor networks, and the ability to operate effectively alongside allies in a contested environment. These priorities reflect a recognition that modern defense is no longer platform-centric, but system-centric. Ships, aircraft, radars, and command networks must function as a single fused architecture. Without capable surface combatants at the core of that system, even the best sensors and alliances lose operational meaning. The scale of commitment shows the seriousness of the shift. With a reported budget approaching 2 trillion pesos, roughly $35 to $36 billion, across all services, Horizon 3 represents the most ambitious modernization effort the AFP has ever undertaken. Crucially, this funding is not aimed at parity with larger powers, but at sufficiency, the ability to detect, deter, and deny coercion within Philippine maritime space. Seen through this lens, the new frigates are not merely additions to the fleet. They are enablers of a new defense posture, one in which the Philippines moves from reacting to maritime pressure towards shaping the operating environment itself. In a region where credibility is measured by what can be sustained at sea, that shift may prove as important as any single weapon system. The agreement itself is notable not for surprise, but for precision. Signed in December 2025, the contract brings together the government of the Philippines and South Korea's Defense Acquisition Program Administration under a framework that has become increasingly familiar in Manila's defense procurement. Foreign-assisted, tightly scoped, and focused on long-term capability rather than short-term optics. Valued at around $587 million, the deal covers the construction and delivery of 2 advanced guided missile frigates, with provisions extending beyond hull delivery. According to reporting by the Defense Post, the agreement also includes options for systems integration and post-delivery technical support. That detail matters. Modern warships do not reach full combat value at launch. They mature through software updates, sensor calibration, and crew integration. By baking support into the contract, Manila is signaling that it wants ships that remain operationally relevant well into the 2030s, not platforms that peak on commissioning day. The choice of builder reflects continuity rather than experimentation. The ships will be constructed by HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, one of the world's largest and most experienced naval shipbuilders. For the Philippine Navy, HHI is not a new partner, but a proven one, having already delivered the Jose Rizal-class frigates that form the backbone of today's modern surface fleet. The new vessels are widely expected to be based on the HDF 3200 design family,
the same platform lineage used for the Miguel Malvar class. This is a deliberate decision. Rather than introducing an entirely new hull type, the Navy is doubling down on a familiar design ecosystem. That choice simplifies training, logistics, and life cycle support, three areas that quietly determine whether fleets actually deliver combat power.
As Naval News has observed, the HDF 3200 emphasizes modularity, allowing future upgrades in sensors, weapons, and combat systems without extensive structural modifications. In practical terms, this means the ships can evolve as threats change. Vertical launch systems, radar suites, and electronic warfare packages can be enhanced incrementally, preserving relevance without forcing costly midlife overhauls. For a Navy modernizing under budget constraints, that flexibility is strategic insurance. Beyond the Philippines, HHI's track record adds confidence. The company has delivered major surface combatants not only to South Korea's own Navy, but also to countries such as Peru and other regional partners, an indication that its designs are adaptable across different operational doctrines and threat environments. The timeline is aggressive but realistic. Construction is expected to begin in 2026, with completion and delivery targeted by 2029. This schedule aligns closely with the Philippine Navy's broader fleet expansion roadmap heading into the early 2030s, ensuring that new platforms arrive as doctrine, training, and support infrastructure mature in parallel. Equally important, the delivery window avoids the trap of capability gaps. By synchronizing these frigates with ongoing modernization under Rehorizon 3, the Navy reduces the risk of operating a mixed fleet where new ships arrive faster than the systems and personnel needed to support them. In effect, this is procurement paced to absorption capacity, not political calendars. The contract details reveal a pattern: disciplined acquisition, trusted partners, and designs built for evolution rather than display. In a maritime environment where relevance erodes quickly, that may be the most important feature of all. At roughly 3,200 tons displacement, the new frigate sits squarely in the modern sweet spot for surface combatants. Large enough to carry credible sensors and weapons, yet agile enough for sustained patrols and multi-mission tasking. Designed as true multi-role guided missile frigates, they are expected to perform across the full spectrum of naval warfare: anti-air, anti-surface, and anti-submarine operations. This places them in the same operational class as frontline frigates operated by regional navies such as South Korea, Indonesia, and Malaysia. A meaningful benchmark for a fleet that, until recently, operated well below that tier. What this tonnage really buys is endurance and flexibility.
These ships are not optimized for a single mission or a single threat. They are built to stay at sea longer, operate farther from shore, and remain combat relevant in crowded, contested waters. For the Philippine Navy, that translates into fewer gaps in coverage and a stronger ability to maintain presence without burning out platforms or crews. While final specifications will only be confirmed once officially released, reporting by Naval News and analysis of similar configurations offer a clear picture of the likely combat package. At the core is a vertical launch system, enabling the deployment of surface-to-air missiles for area and point defense, an essential capability in an era of proliferating drones, aircraft, and anti-ship missiles. This alone marks a qualitative leap from earlier generations of Philippine surface combatants.
Anti-ship warfare is expected to be handled by modern missiles, such as South Korea's Sea Star or an equivalent system, providing credible standoff strike capability against hostile surface vessels. Close-in defense would be layered through a close-in weapon system, potentially the Turkish Gökdeniz, offering last-ditch protection against incoming missiles and asymmetric threats. A 76mm main gun provides versatility for surface engagements, warning shots, and naval gunfire support, while torpedo launchers enable active participation in anti-submarine warfare, an increasingly relevant mission as undersea activity rises in regional waters. Equally important is what ties all of this together: advanced AESA radar capable of tracking multiple air and surface targets simultaneously. In modern naval combat, detection and tracking often matter more than the missile itself. These sensors allow the ship to see first, decide faster, and engage at longer ranges, advantages that define survivability in contested environments. Hardware, however, is only half the story. Recent defense contracts point to the Philippines' growing reliance on Hanwha systems for combat management systems, sensor weapon integration, and secure data link connectivity. This reflects a deliberate move toward network-centric warfare,
where ships operate not as isolated units, but as nodes in a wider maritime and air defense network. According to reporting by the Korea Times, these systems are designed to allow real-time data sharing between warships, maritime patrol aircraft, coastal radar stations, and allied forces. In practice, that means a frigate does not need to detect every threat itself. It can receive targeting data from an aircraft overhead, cue its sensors from shore-based radar, or pass tracks to allied ships operating nearby. This multiplies effectiveness without multiplying holes. For the Philippine Navy, this integration is transformative. It aligns seamlessly with alliance interoperability goals and reinforces the shift from platform-centric defense to system-centric deterrence. The frigates become not just shooters, but information hubs, critical in a maritime environment where awareness, coordination, and speed of decision increasingly determine outcomes. These technical and operational features explain why the new ships matter far beyond their number. They represent a Navy learning to fight as part of a network, not just to patrol with flags raised. In today's maritime security environment, that distinction is decisive. The addition of 2 next-generation frigates materially changes how the Philippines can operate at sea, not by numbers alone, but by credibility. With modern sensors, missiles, and networked combat systems, these ships expand patrol coverage across the country's vast, exclusive economic zone, enable safer and more reliable escort missions for both naval and commercial traffic, and raise the deterrent threshold against coercive behavior. As the Defense Post aptly notes, modern frigates function as both symbols and instruments of sovereignty. In practice, that means presence backed by capability, where visibility at sea is paired with the means to act. Strategically, the acquisition sends a clear signal that Manila intends to respond to maritime pressure with sustained capability rather than episodic presence. It also deepens defense ties with South Korea, now firmly established as one of Asia's leading arms suppliers, valued for combining advanced technology with predictable delivery and lifecycle support. Region-wide, the deal fits a broader pattern. Southeast Asian navies are modernizing in parallel, investing in platforms that emphasize sensors, missiles, and interoperability to manage a more crowded and contested maritime environment. These new hulls are not standalone assets. They are designed to integrate with existing platforms such as BRP Miguel Malvar and BRP Diego Silang. Together, they form the core of the Philippine Navy's future surface combatant fleet, standardized around compatible systems, shared training pipelines, and scalable upgrades. This coherence matters. Fleets deliver enduring power when ships, sensors, and crews evolve as a system rather than as one-off procurements. The relationship with South Korea extends well beyond shipbuilding. It encompasses combat systems integration, secure data link technologies, and training and technical assistance, elements that determine whether advanced platforms achieve their intended effect. Over the past decade, South Korea has emerged as one of the Philippines' top 3 defense suppliers, a reflection of trust built through delivery performance, technology transfer, and sustainment support. Across Southeast Asia, procurement choices are converging. Navies increasingly favor South Korean and Japanese designs for their balance of cost, capability, and upgrade potential. The emphasis is on combat-ready platforms that can be modernized incrementally, preserving relevance over decades without prohibitive midlife refits. The Philippine decision aligns squarely with this trend. High upfront costs demand sustained political and fiscal commitment over multiple administrations. Moreover, life cycle expenses, maintenance, upgrades, and spares often exceed acquisition costs over time. Success depends on budgeting for ownership, not just purchase. Advanced combat systems require advanced crews. Training pipelines must expand, and logistics networks must mature to ensure spare parts, software updates, and depot-level maintenance keep pace with operational tempo. Without this foundation, capability at commissioning risks erosion in service. Naval modernization can heighten strategic competition. Managing escalation risks will require careful diplomacy, confidence-building measures, and continued emphasis on rules-based conduct at sea, even as deterrence is strengthened. The procurement of 2 next-generation 3,200-ton frigates from HD Hyundai Heavy Industries marks a significant milestone in the Philippines' defense modernization. By enhancing readiness, interoperability, and deterrence, the program strengthens Manila's strategic posture amid a rapidly evolving Indo-Pacific security environment. Challenges in funding, training, and regional diplomacy remain, but the direction is unmistakable. The Philippines is committing to safeguard its maritime interests with a credible, modern Navy designed for persistence, partnership, and resilience.
If you like the video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel for deep analysis of contemporary issues.
In every mission, the Navy proves that maritime strength is measured by the character, clarity of mission, and the commitment of those who serve. That same commitment to duty was clearly seen in the West Philippine Sea and in other maritime outposts.
The Philippine Navy has entered a transformative phase with the arrival of the BRP Diego Silang FFG-07, the second of the Miguel Malvar-class guided missile frigates and a critical milestone in the Armed Forces of the Philippines modernization program. This newest asset, built by HD Hyundai Heavy Industries in Ulsan, South Korea, represents not just another ship, but a cutting-edge addition to the fleet. Launched in March 2025 and joining her sister ship, the BRP Miguel Malvar FFG-06, to form the most advanced surface combatants in Philippine naval history. The frigate brings state-of-the-art capabilities to the fleet, with a displacement of 3,200 tons, a range of 4,500 nautical miles, and an endurance of 20 days at sea. Most importantly, it is equipped with the EL/M2258 Alpha AESA multifunction radar, advanced sonar, and a full arsenal of missiles, torpedoes, and naval guns. These systems give the ship true multi-role flexibility, from anti-air and anti-ship operations to submarine hunting and maritime patrols. With its flight deck and hangar able to support naval helicopters like the AW-159 Wildcat, the Diego Silang brings the Navy into a new era of combined surface air-sea warfare. Her commissioning, however, is not only about firepower, it is about strategic impact. The frigate enhances the Philippines' maritime domain awareness, strengthens deterrence in the contested waters of the West Philippine Sea, and boosts interoperability with allies like the United States, Japan, and Australia. As Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad emphasized, her modern capabilities will allow us greater and longer operational reach as we continue to perform our mandate of securing our seas.
We now have 5 strategic partnerships with other countries, 5 countries. We have elevated our defense relationship. We have the RAA with Japan, India, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea. Vietnam is coming, is already there. We have Canada, UK, France is there, Italy, and the other countries who have been expressing or giving statements of support, and not only statements but actions, sending the ships, the troops, the aircraft to do joint activities with the armed forces of the Philippines.
The ship also arrives at a time of escalating tensions. Chinese vessels continue to swarm contested reefs, shadow Allied patrols, and harass Philippine missions with water cannons and dangerous maneuvers. Against this backdrop, the Diego Silang is both a shield and a statement. The Philippines is no longer constrained by aging, outdated assets, but now possesses credible tools to defend its exclusive economic zone and assert its sovereign rights. Looking forward, the Diego Silang is just the beginning. Manila is pursuing additional frigates, exploring local shipbuilding capacity, and pushing ahead with a $35 billion modernization plan under Horizon 2 and Horizon 3. These efforts, built on successful partnerships with South Korea and strengthened through minilateral defense alignments with the US, Japan, and Australia, mark the Philippines' evolution from a vulnerable archipelago into an emerging middle power in regional security. In essence, the BRP Diego Silang is more than a warship. It is a symbol of resilience, a tool of deterrence, and a visible step toward a multi-capable Navy that can defend sovereignty, protect maritime resources, and contribute to stability in the Indo-Pacific. The BRP Diego Silang
FFG-07 stands as the newest jewel in the Philippine Navy's fleet, a product of Manila's growing determination to modernize its maritime defense capabilities. Built by HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, HDHHI, in Ulsan, South Korea, the ship is the second of the Miguel Malvar-class guided missile frigates, ordered under a massive 28 billion peso contract that symbolizes the Philippines' most ambitious naval procurement to date. Launched in March 2025, the Diego Silang departed South Korea in early September and is expected to arrive in the Philippines by the end of the month, where it will be formally commissioned into active duty. It follows in the wake of its sister ship, the BRP Miguel Malvar, FFG-06, which was commissioned just months earlier in May 2025, giving the Navy a pair of cutting-edge warships in rapid succession. In terms of raw specifications, the Diego Silang represents a quantum leap over the aging vessels the Philippine Navy has long relied on. Displacing 3,200 tons and stretching 118.4 meters in length with a 14.9-meter beam, the frigate combines size with agility. Powered by a combined diesel and diesel CODAD propulsion system, it can reach speeds of 25 knots and has an impressive operational range of 4,500 nautical miles at 15 knots, allowing it to sustain operations across the entire Philippine archipelago and beyond. Its 20-day endurance ensures that it can remain at sea for extended patrols, a vital requirement for asserting presence in contested waters like the West Philippine Sea. What truly distinguishes the BRP Diego Silang, however, are its advanced sensors, radars, and weapons systems. For the first time in Philippine naval history, a warship will carry the EL/M 2258 Alpha S-Band 3 DAESA multifunction radar, a state-of-the-art system capable of detecting, tracking, and guiding weapons against both air and surface threats with unmatched precision. This radar, coupled with its hull-mounted sonar, gives the ship powerful anti-submarine warfare capabilities, enabling it to detect and engage hostile submarines before they become a threat.
The frigate's armament package is equally formidable and represents a serious deterrent against both surface and aerial threats.
At its heart lies a 16-cell vertical launching system, VLS, loaded with MBDAV LMICA ship-to-air missiles, capable of intercepting incoming aircraft or missiles. To project power across the sea, the ship boasts 8 Seastar SSM-710K anti-ship cruise missiles, giving it the ability to strike enemy vessels at long range with deadly accuracy. For close-range defense, the Diego Silang is armed with a 76mm Oto Malara Super Rapid Main Gun and a Selsan Gokdanese 35mm Close-In Weapon System, CIWS, to counter incoming missiles, and 4 12.7mm heavy machine guns for small surface threats. Completing its arsenal are 2 triple-tube launchers for K-745 Blue Shark lightweight torpedoes, enhancing its undersea warfare capabilities. The ship also expands the Navy's aviation reach with its flight deck and hangar facilities designed to support a 12-ton naval helicopter, such as the AW-159 Wildcat. This integration of airborne assets allows for extended reconnaissance, anti-submarine patrols, and rapid response operations, multiplying the ship's effectiveness far beyond its own hull. In essence, the BRP Diego Silang is not just a new ship, it is a multi-mission platform capable of defending Philippine waters against threats from above, below, and across the sea. It represents the fusion of modern naval technology with the Philippines' strategic need for credible defense. A warship built not only to patrol, but to deter, and if necessary, to fight. The commissioning of the BRP Diego Silang, FFG-07, is not simply about adding another hull to the Philippine Navy. It is about transforming the country's maritime posture into one that can credibly safeguard sovereignty. One of the ship's most immediate contributions lies in the field of maritime domain awareness, MDA. Equipped with advanced sensors such as the ELM-2258 Alpha-3 DAESA radar and integrated sonar systems, the Diego Silang dramatically extends the Navy's ability to monitor, track, and assess threats across the country's vast archipelagic waters. This capability is particularly crucial in the West Philippine Sea, where Chinese naval and Coast Guard vessels frequently patrol and conduct gray zone operations. By detecting incursions earlier and with greater accuracy, The frigate strengthens Manila's hand in asserting its rights under international law.
Beyond surveillance, the combat capabilities of the Diego Silang provide the Philippines with a long-missing element: credible deterrence. With its vertical launching system, long-range anti-ship missiles, and layered defense systems, the frigate represents a leap in the Navy's ability to impose costs on an aggressor. As Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, the Navy's spokesperson, emphasized, her modern capabilities will allow us greater and longer operational reach as we continue to perform our mandate of securing our seas. This operational reach ensures that the Philippines is no longer limited to symbolic patrols, but can actively contest any attempt to undermine its sovereignty. The message is clear. Any act of aggression will now face not only diplomatic protests, but a technologically capable maritime force ready to defend the nation's interests. Equally significant is the frigate's contribution to interoperability with allies and partners. The Diego Silang is fitted with a tactical data link system derived from South Korea's Link K, which allows it to seamlessly share targeting, surveillance, and communications data with the Jose Rizal-class frigates already in service. More importantly, this system enhances its ability to operate alongside allied navies, including those of the United States, Australia, and Japan, which regularly conduct joint exercises with the Philippine Navy. In effect, the Diego Silang not only strengthens the Philippines' national defense, but also plugs it deeper into a regional security network, where information sharing and coordinated operations amplify deterrence against potential adversaries. In sum, the strategic impact of the BRP Diego Silang lies in its ability to close the gap between aspiration and capability. It provides the Philippines with eyes to watch, weapons to defend, and networks to connect, turning the Navy into a force that not only patrols, but also deters, cooperates, and protects. The arrival of the BRP Diego Silang, FFG-07, comes at a time when the Philippines faces some of its most serious maritime security challenges in recent memory. The West Philippine Sea continues to be heavily contested, with Chinese Coast Guard, militia, and naval vessels swarming disputed features such as Scarborough Shoal, Second Thomas Shoal, and areas near Reed Bank. Reports in mid-2025 noted record numbers of Chinese ships operating simultaneously in multiple contested areas, a visible demonstration of Beijing's resolve to dominate the region. At the same time, China's Navy has escalated its monitoring of joint military exercises between the Philippines and its allies, shadowing drills and occasionally sending ships dangerously close to Philippine territorial waters. Against this backdrop, the commissioning of the Diego Silang is not symbolic. It is a direct operational response to intensifying Chinese pressure, giving Manila both the tools and confidence to safeguard its sovereignty. Looking forward, the Diego Silang is not an endpoint, but a milestone in the revised armed forces of the Philippines modernization program. Specifically, it falls under the Horizon 2 phase, which prioritizes external defense after decades of internal security focus. The frigate represents one step in a broader transformation that envisions a Philippine Navy capable of sustained maritime presence, modern deterrence, and full-spectrum operations. Future plans include the possible acquisition of 2 additional Miguel Malvar-class frigates, further strengthening the Navy's high-end capabilities. Beyond foreign procurement, Manila has also emphasized the development of local shipbuilding capacity, signaling a long-term ambition to produce and maintain its own naval assets domestically. This would reduce dependency on foreign suppliers, create defense-related jobs, and embed a culture of naval self-reliance. The Philippines' partnership with South Korea's HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, HDHHI, offers a compelling case study in what successful defense cooperation looks like. Both the BRP Miguel Malvar and BRP Diego Silang were delivered on time and within budget, reflecting the reliability and professionalism of Seoul as a defense partner. This timely delivery stands in stark contrast to delays often associated with major acquisitions in the past, such as aircraft and helicopter procurements. The Philippines' ability to meet its modernization milestones thanks to South Korean cooperation demonstrates the value of trusted, like-minded defense partnerships. It also suggests that the South Korean model, co-development, training integration, and logistical support could serve as a template for future collaborations with other allies.
Regionally, the commissioning of Diego Silang places the Philippines on a clearer trajectory toward being recognized as a middle power with credible maritime capabilities. While its navy still lags behind major regional players such as Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force or the Republic of Korea Navy, its modernization trajectory is now more aligned with regional trends. For example, like Vietnam, the Philippines has prioritized frigates and patrol vessels as cost-effective platforms to project presence and deterrence in contested waters. Its efforts are also bolstered by growing military alliances, regular joint exercises with the United States, Australia, and Japan, as well as increasing participation in multilateral drills, provide Manila with operational experience and coalition credibility. In this sense, the Diego Silang is not just a new ship. It is a symbol of the Philippines' evolving role in the Indo-Pacific, where small and medium states collectively push back against great power coercion through modern fleets and stronger alliances.
The commissioning of the BRP Diego Silang, FFG-07, is more than the arrival of a single warship. It is a landmark in the Philippines' continuing journey toward building a modern, multi-capable navy. With its advanced sensors, long-range strike weapons, and multi-role capabilities, Diego Silang represents a significant leap forward in the country's ability to safeguard its maritime domain. From territorial defense to humanitarian assistance, the frigate is designed to meet the diverse challenges of the Indo-Pacific security environment, where threats range from natural disasters to great power rivalry. As naval officials have emphasized, the ship is not only a platform for combat, but also a symbol of credibility and resilience. In the words of Philippine Navy leaders, Diego Silang's arrival moves the service closer to its vision of becoming a credible force for national security and regional stability. This statement reflects a shift in mindset. The Navy is no longer seen merely as a supporting service, but as a frontline actor in asserting sovereignty and deterring aggression. Looking ahead, the Diego Silang will not stand alone. Together with her sister ship, the BRP Miguel Malvar, and future acquisitions under the Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program, the Navy is steadily building a layered maritime defense strategy. Combined with enhanced interoperability with allies such as the United States, Japan, and Australia, the Philippines is positioning itself not just to defend its sovereignty, but also to contribute meaningfully to the collective security of the Indo-Pacific. Ultimately, the Diego Silang's significance lies not only in its steel and firepower, but in what it represents. The Philippines' determination to chart a future where its Navy is capable, confident, and ready to secure one of the world's most critical waterways.
The roar of engines echoed across the harbor. Navy officers stood in full-dress uniform, their gaze fixed on the horizon as a sleek gray warship pierced through the blue waters. The BRP Miguel Malvar, FFG-06, had arrived. Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr., standing tall on the pier under the blazing sun, looked toward the corvette as it made its final approach. The Philippine flag fluttered in the wind. "Today," he said into the mic, voice steady and proud, "we welcome not just a ship, but a symbol of our sovereignty. The BRP Miguel Malvar is here, not only to defend our waters, but to show the world. The Philippines is not to be ignored." Applause broke out, but beneath the celebration was a sober reality. The Philippine Navy, for decades overshadowed in Asia, is now racing to catch up in one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints, the South China Sea. At 118.4 meters long, armed with Sea Star anti-ship missiles, VL Amica air defense systems, and 3 DAESA radar, the Miguel Malvar-class corvette isn't just a patrol vessel. It's a message in steel and firepower. Its twin, the BRP Diego Silang, remains docked in Ulsan, South Korea, being readied for delivery. But even one arrival has turned heads. "This is not just about one ship," Teodoro continued. "This is about protecting our blue economy, our fisheries, our energy corridors, and our future. And to do that, we need a Navy that can bite, not just bark."
We do things daily. We have upgraded our operational security requirements from the Department of National Defense down the line.
Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, a key figure in the West Philippine Sea deployments, stepped forward during the ceremony. These ships will sail where our rights are challenged. They will not flinch. We are sending them to the front lines. Trinidad wasn't exaggerating. Filipino ships and civilian vessels have been repeatedly harassed by Chinese Coast Guard vessels, hit by water cannons, and blinded by military-grade lasers. Every deployment now carries real risk. This is not a drill, he told reporters later. Our sailors are facing real threats, not simulations. Yet despite the shiny new hulls and advanced tech, security analysts warn that Manila still lags far behind. The Philippine Navy, PN, serves as the country's primary maritime defense force, tasked with safeguarding over 7,600 islands and ensuring sovereignty across vast territorial waters. As the seaborne component of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, the PN plays a crucial role in national security, humanitarian operations, and regional cooperation. For an archipelagic nation like the Philippines, maritime security is not optional, it's existential. The country's economy, food security, energy access, and national unity all hinge on the ability to control and protect its maritime domain. The Philippine Navy maintains a total force of approximately 24,500 active personnel, including around 10,300 Philippine Marines, who are vital for amphibious and territorial defense operations. It has a reserve force of about 15,000, ready to be mobilized during emergencies or national crises. This manpower enables the Navy to maintain a distributed presence across the archipelago, supporting maritime patrols, humanitarian missions, and regional security engagements. The strong personnel base, while essential, must be matched with modern equipment and training to effectively respond to the evolving threats in the maritime domain. Standing at the forefront of maritime defense, the Philippine Navy is evolving from a coastal defense force to a more formidable blue water navy. With around 90 combat vessels, the fleet is steadily strengthening, led by key additions like the Conrado Yap-class corvettes, which specialize in surface warfare and are critical for patrol and security operations. The arrival of the BRP Miguel Malvar, the Navy's first guided missile corvette, marks a significant upgrade, featuring Sea Star anti-ship missiles, VL Maikie vertical launch systems, and 3D ESA radar. Its sister ship, BRP Diego Silang, will further enhance the fleet's capabilities. For exclusive economic zone, EZ, enforcement, the Navy operates 6 offshore patrol vessels, OPVs, while 9 fast attack craft provide rapid strike capabilities, essential for archipelagic defense. The Navy also maintains 4 Tarlac-class landing platform docks, LPDs, the largest vessels in the fleet, vital for amphibious operations, disaster response, and humanitarian aid. Complemented by a range of smaller patrol craft and 16 auxiliary vessels, the fleet is expanding to secure the nation's vast maritime territory. As newer ships join the ranks, the Philippine Navy is steadily transitioning into a more capable and strategic force in Southeast Asia, prepared to tackle both peacetime and combat challenges. Beyond its surface fleet, the Philippine Navy's punch is increasingly defined by its aerial and missile capabilities, signaling a bold step into modern warfare. The Navy operates around 25 manned aircraft, including BN Islanders for maritime patrol and BO-105 utility helicopters for surveillance, transport, and support missions. These aircraft extend the Navy's reach far beyond its ships, enabling wider surveillance of the vast Philippine archipelago. Adding to this are 8 unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, used primarily for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, ISR, missions, essential in monitoring intrusions and ensuring maritime domain awareness. The Navy is also developing unmanned surface vessels, USVs, to complement its ISR capabilities, pushing forward its innovation agenda even in constrained budgets. What truly marks the Navy's leap into the future, however, is its entry into the missile age. As Vice Admiral Toribio Adachi Jr., the Navy chief, proudly declared, "It is exciting because now we can consider ourselves in the missile age, having fired our Sea Star missiles, are Spike ER missiles, Spike NLOS missiles. These include Sea Star anti-ship missiles, Spike ER for short-range precision strikes, and Spike NLOS, recently tested for long-range, non-line-of-sight engagements. Combined with a range of naval guns and small-caliber weapons, the Philippine Navy is no longer merely patrolling. It is now equipped to deter and respond. Supporting these assets is a decentralized and responsive command structure. The Navy is divided into 7 naval operating commands strategically located across the archipelago, each responsible for regional defense and operations. Among these, the Naval Forces West, NAV-4 West, plays a vital role in protecting the West Philippine Sea, the front line of Manila's maritime sovereignty. No less important is the Philippine Marine Corps, a 10,300-strong amphibious force embedded within the Navy and trained for both literal combat and inland operations. Their equipment includes amphibious vehicles like the AAV-7A1 and DUKWs, as well as armored platforms like the V-150, giving them versatility from sea to shore. In flashpoints like Palawan and Zambales, these Marines serve as the Philippines' first line of defense on contested shores. Proof that the Navy's muscle is not just on the water, but ready to land and hold ground. With these evolving assets, the Philippine Navy is clearly transforming from a coastal defense force into a forward-leaning, tech-enabled maritime guardian, ready to stand its ground in an increasingly contested region. The Philippine Navy is no longer just patching up the old, it's building a force for the future. The ongoing modernization is structured in 3 strategic phases known as the Horizon programs. Horizon 1 and 2, already completed, laid the foundation, bringing in key platforms like the Jose Rizal-class frigates and Conrado Yap-class corvettes, which marked the Navy's entry into the realm of modern warfare systems. Now underway is Horizon 3, guided by the Comprehensive Archipelagic Defense Concept, CADC. This phase represents a major pivot from internal to external defense, aligning naval and air power to confront regional threats, especially in the South China Sea. The stakes are high, and so is the investment. The government plans to funnel up to 2 trillion Philippine pesos into overall armed forces modernization over the next decade. The Navy's wish list is bold, but necessary. It includes more offshore patrol vessels, OPVs, corvettes, and a potential third batch of frigates, all critical for persistent sea presence. With undersea threats on the rise, anti-submarine warfare, ASW, capabilities have become a top priority. The Navy is also expanding its maritime domain awareness, MDA, through surveillance aircraft and unmanned systems like USVs, vital in patrolling vast waters with minimal manpower. In terms of firepower, the Philippines is eyeing further procurement of the BrahMos missile system, one of the world's fastest anti-ship missiles. But perhaps the most game-changing aspiration lies beneath the waves, submarines. As AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Bronner Jr. put it, "It's a dream for us to get at least 2 submarines. We are an archipelago." Talks continue around acquiring Scorpan-class subs from France, potentially giving the PN its first ever undersea deterrent. Recent developments signal that progress is real. In April 2025, the BRP Miguel Malvar, a guided missile corvette, officially joined the fleet. Its sister ship, BRP Diego Silang, is set to follow soon. Strategic partnerships have also powered growth. The United States transferred Hamilton-class and Cyclone-class patrol vessels, with more potentially on the way. South Korea has been pivotal, not only supplying ships, but also donating a Pohang-class corvette. Meanwhile, Japan's provision of patrol vessels to the Philippine Coast Guard has indirectly boosted maritime security, and Australia has stepped in with surveillance drones to extend monitoring range. In sum, the Philippine Navy is no longer content with coast-hugging patrols. It's thinking deep, far, and smart, and building the fleet to back it up. Despite commendable strides in modernization, the Philippine Navy continues to face deep-rooted challenges. A major hurdle remains the aging fleet, with some legacy platforms like landing ship tanks from the World War II era still in active service, highlighting a fleet stretched thin across modernization and obsolescence. In terms of numbers, the PN still lags behind its regional counterparts. While it now boasts modern frigates and corvettes, the overall size and advanced warfighting capacity remain limited, especially when compared to neighbors like Indonesia or Vietnam. Budget constraints pose another critical challenge. Though government allocations have increased, sustained long-term funding is essential to fully realize the Horizon 3 vision and maintain operational readiness. Adding to the strain is the persistent gap in maritime domain awareness, MDA. Monitoring over 7,000 islands and vast exclusive economic zone waters requires far more assets and technologies than currently available. Maritime governance remains complex, often hindered by overlapping mandates between the Navy, Coast Guard, and other maritime agencies. This weakens unified maritime response and resource allocation. A 2021 ResearchGate analysis sums it up starkly. The Philippine Navy is among the weakest of the naval forces in the Southeast Asia region, and its power projection capabilities are very limited. If the Philippines is to adequately protect its maritime sovereignty in an increasingly contested Indo-Pacific area, it would be imperative to address these structural and strategic restrictions. Strategic partnerships have become a vital force multiplier for the Philippine Navy's growing regional role. At the forefront is the United States, with whom the Philippines has dramatically deepened defense ties. The two allies now conduct regular joint maritime exercises, including the newly formalized Maritime Cooperative Activity, and have ramped up security engagements. A powerful example was the January 2025 joint drill in the South China Sea, where U.S. carrier strike groups maneuvered alongside Philippine Navy frigates and air assets, a clear message of deterrence. Australia remains another core partner, with joint naval drills under the Sama-Sama banner and growing defense cooperation to enhance interoperability. Japan contributes through multilateral exercises and the donation of patrol vessels, strengthening maritime domain awareness. France and Canada have also joined key naval drills in the Philippine Sea, broadening the Navy's operational experience in diverse coalition settings. These engagements not only boost tactical readiness, but also signal a growing web of support for the Philippines in a region rife with geopolitical tension. The Philippine Navy, PN, plays a crucial role in defending the country's territorial claims, particularly in the contested South China Sea, West Philippine Sea. One of the most defining moments was the Scarborough Shoal standoff in 2012, which exposed the significant limitations of the PN at the time. During the standoff, Philippine ships were unable to directly confront the growing presence of Chinese vessels, leading to the withdrawal of Philippine forces from the area. This incident served as a wake-up call, highlighting the urgent need to modernize the Navy to ensure the protection of the nation's maritime interests. Another ongoing point of tension is the Second Thomas Shoal, where the Philippine Navy plays a vital role in maintaining a military presence on the BRP Sierra Madre, a grounded ship used as an outpost by Philippine Marines. The Navy faces frequent harassment from the Chinese Coast Guard, who employ tactics such as collisions and water cannon attacks to disrupt resupply missions. This persistent harassment highlights the Philippines' struggle to assert its sovereignty in this area, with the Navy facing a constant challenge in securing its strategic positions in the face of overwhelming Chinese pressure. In 2016, the Philippines secured a major legal victory in the International Court of Arbitration, which ruled against China's expansive claims in the South China Sea, specifically its 9-dash line. While this was a significant diplomatic win for the Philippines, enforcing the ruling remains a challenge. Despite the court's decision, China continues to assert its claims, and the PN, while strengthened by modern equipment and strategic alliances, must navigate a complex landscape of regional power dynamics and unresolved territorial disputes. Experts generally recognize the significant strides the Philippine Navy, PN, has made in its modernization efforts, but they also emphasize that the journey is far from complete. Many analysts highlight that sustained investment, both in terms of financial resources and strategic partnerships, is critical to ensuring the Navy's future effectiveness. A recurring theme is the shift in focus from internal security to more external territorial defense. This strategic pivot is evident in the Navy's increasing emphasis on strengthening its capabilities to defend the nation's maritime sovereignty in the face of growing regional tensions. In the words of the diplomat, submarines would represent a significant upgrade to the Philippine Navy's capabilities. This shift in perspective highlights the importance of advanced platforms like submarines in enhancing the Navy's deterrent and defense capabilities. Similarly, ABS-CBN News emphasized the importance of the new warships, stating that they represent a critical step toward developing a self-reliant and credible defense posture. These acquisitions, while important, are only part of a broader ongoing effort to build a Navy capable of defending the Philippines' vast maritime territory. Thank you for tuning in to our channel. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis of global issues.
What if your backyard, your oceans, your islands, your home was being watched by a foreign power every single day? Not with bullets or bombs, but with silent ships, unmanned drones, and radar signals that never sleep. Welcome to the Philippines in 2025, a tropical paradise caught in the crosshairs of one of the most complex power plays of the 21st century. From the turquoise waters of Palawan to the quiet fishing villages of Pag-asa Island, people are waking up to a new reality. They're being watched, studied, and slowly pushed back. We used to cast nets, one fisherman whispers. Now we just look over our shoulder. This is not just about ships in the sea, it's about sovereignty under siege. And the question that now echoes across the archipelago is chilling in its simplicity. How do you protect what's yours when the enemy never fires a shot? The calm waters of the South China Sea hide an invisible war. One not fought with missiles, but with radar sweeps, covert drones, and shadowy fleets. As tensions grow, it is not the thunder of naval gunfire that alarms Filipino defense officials, but the quiet buzz of surveillance, the unmarked vessels patrolling disputed zones, and the ever-present fear that every move is being watched. This is the new battlefield, and the Philippines is in its crosshairs. Over the past year, China's maritime militia and Coast Guard have surged in activity across contested waters. These forces operate in a gray zone, blurring the line between civilian and military. Officially, fishermen or rescue crews, they often sail in tight formation, escort survey ships, and block Filipino vessels from accessing their own shoals and reefs. According to recent intelligence, these so-called civilian boats are equipped with high-powered sensors and encrypted communications, tools more suited for espionage than fishing. In its July 2nd, 2025 report, Defense News confirmed what many in the Philippines already feared. Filipino military pushes naval base upgrades, fearing Chinese spying. Unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, have been spotted loitering near EDCA bases in Cagayan and Palawan. Spy ships have lurked just beyond the country's exclusive economic zone, EEZ, while local radar stations report unexplained jamming and electronic interference, likely tests of electronic warfare capabilities. These aren't accidents, they're signals. And what's at stake? Everything. The South China Sea isn't just a regional flashpoint. It's one of the world's most strategically critical waterways, with over $3.5 trillion in trade passing through each year. Beneath its surface lie rich hydrocarbon reserves and fertile fishing grounds that have sustained Filipino coastal communities for generations. China's creeping presence directly threatens these lifelines and the Philippines' ability to govern and benefit from its own territory. What makes this even more dangerous is the unconventional nature of the threat. This isn't open war. It's asymmetric warfare. It's a quiet, persistent campaign to pressure, exhaust, and gradually claim control without triggering global backlash. Analysts call it salami slicing, the methodical nibbling away at sovereignty, one reef, one patrol, one radio silence at a time. This is why fear has turned into urgency. Sovereignty, once undermined subtly, is now visibly eroding. Filipino fishermen are being pushed out of their own waters. Their catches dwindling as Chinese industrial fleets sweep the sea clean. These fleets, often escorted by militia vessels, aren't just fishing. They're draining a nation's resources under a shield of plausible deniability. Even worse, from a military standpoint, the Philippines is flying blind. Its surveillance capabilities are limited. Without full domain awareness, it's impossible to respond decisively. If you know the enemy and know yourself, Sun Tzu once wrote, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. But right now, Manila only knows half that equation. Historical precedent adds weight to the concern. The 2012 Scarborough Shoal standoff marked the turning point, a Philippine retreat, followed by China's de facto control of the reef. Despite the 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration, which invalidated China's expansive claims, Beijing simply ignored the verdict. The world watched but did nothing. For the Philippines, that moment served as a painful reminder. International law alone cannot defend sovereignty. Thomas Hobbes warned of the state of nature, a world without order where the strong dominate the weak. In the Melian dialogue, Thucydides records a chilling truth of ancient realpolitik. The strong do what they can, and the weak suffer what they must. If left unchecked, the Philippines risks becoming a modern-day Melos, a smaller power caught between competing titans. Even George Orwell's 1984 echoes in today's maritime tensions. Surveillance, after all, isn't just about watching. It's about controlling behavior. The ever-present eye changes how people act, where fishermen go, how officials speak. And in this climate of hyper-watchfulness, freedom itself can slowly suffocate. As Philippine forces move to fortify naval bases and build up radar, anti-drone, and signal intelligence systems, they're not just reacting to drones or patrol ships, they're responding to a philosophical crisis. The erosion of self-determination in the face of rising authoritarian reach. President Xi Jinping once declared, "No one should expect us to swallow anything that undermines our interests." Now, the Philippines is responding with its own shift in tone. Former President Rodrigo Duterte once said, "We are a small nation. We cannot afford to fight a war." But today's leadership is embracing a new strategy, not confrontation, but resilience. Through alliances, infrastructure, and sharper intelligence, they are building a deterrent, not an invitation to war. As UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres recently reaffirmed, international law is the bedrock of peaceful and just relations between states. That law is now being tested, and the Philippines, against all odds, is choosing to defend it. The Philippines is no longer whispering its response, it's building it. From the windswept coastlines of Palawan to the fortified docks of Cagayan, a quiet transformation is underway. Once symbolic outposts of a peripheral archipelago, these bases are now becoming hardened frontlines in the contest for maritime sovereignty. Under rising pressure and the constant hum of foreign surveillance, Manila has begun a rapid modernization of its naval facilities, signaling not only urgency, but resolve. According to Defense News, Philippine officials have launched urgent upgrades across key naval installations. These include the installation of advanced radar arrays, satellite-linked communication systems, drone detection sensors, and expanded port facilities capable of docking larger naval and allied vessels. "We can no longer afford blind spots," one unnamed official stated. "What we can't see, we can't defend." The strategic logic behind these upgrades is as clear as the blue waters they aim to protect. Bases like those in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, and Basa Air Base in Pampanga, enhanced through the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement with the United States, sit close to disputed waters in the West Philippine Sea, providing ideal locations to project maritime domain awareness and rapid response. These are not just buildings. They are statements carved in concrete and steel, declarations that the Philippines is staking its claim with action, not just words. But this isn't simply a case of leaning on stronger allies. The Philippines is embracing a bold doctrine of self-reliant deterrence. It knows that no foreign power, no matter how friendly, will defend its territory as fiercely as those who call it home. That's why local defense planners are embracing what strategists call the porcupine strategy, a doctrine designed to make any potential invasion or encroachment painfully costly, even for a much larger adversary. By hardening their bases and multiplying surveillance reach, Filipino forces aren't trying to match China ship for ship. They're creating conditions where any act of aggression would be visible, recorded, resisted, and politically radioactive. Visibility in this context is power. The unseen cannot be defended, but the watched can be warned. And warned waters are dangerous waters. And the power of this strategy lies in three key effects. First, deterrence. With eyes on the sea and credible capacity on shore, the mere presence of a well-prepared outpost can dissuade adventurism. Second, rapid response. Incidents near Ayungin Shoal or Scarborough can now receive faster deployments, from patrol ships to diplomatic protests. Third, sovereignty was made visible. National pride isn't just upheld in court rulings, it's enforced by boots on reefs, patrols in shoals, and radar beams in contested skies. Neighboring Vietnam offers a quiet but potent case study. Over the past decade, Hanoi has steadily modernized its naval and coast guard fleets, strengthened coastal radars, and forged international partnerships, all while avoiding open confrontation. The Philippines, once hesitant, is now taking a page from that same playbook, but writing its own chapter with urgency. The deeper wisdom of this moment is echoed in the classics. Karl von Clausewitz, in On War, reminds us that war is merely the continuation of politics by other means. Upgrading bases is not about launching conflict, but about strengthening the diplomatic hand, a message to Beijing. And beyond that, the Philippines is not a passive pawn, but a sovereign state determined to defend its waters, its people, and its place in the regional order. Cicero, writing in De Officiis, offered a blunt truth. The sinews of war are infinite money. And indeed, these upgrades demand investment, not only in technology and steel, but in national will. In legislative chambers and budget briefings, Philippine leaders are now facing the cost of freedom and increasingly choosing to pay it. Yet this choice is not merely practical. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has vowed, "We will not give up a single square inch of our territory." It's a powerful pledge, echoing the iron determination of other world leaders who understood the price of peace.
I will not preside over any process that will abandon even 1 square inch of territory of the Republic of the Philippines to any foreign power.
Winston Churchill once declared, "We sleep safely in our beds because rough men stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would do us harm." Today, it is not just men, but watchtowers, data feeds, and coordinated patrols that must stand ready. And their silent watch is the new shield of a nation. Finally, George Washington said, "To be prepared for war is one of the most effective means of preserving peace." That's the Philippine gamble. Not to invite conflict, but to raise the cost of conquest until no adversary finds it worth the price. This is more than a military pivot. It's a philosophical awakening. A realization that sovereignty isn't protected by hope or treaties alone, but by vigilance, investment, and action. In upgrading its naval bases, the Philippines is not just preparing for conflict, it is preparing to protect peace. The South China Sea may appear as just another stretch of ocean, but in reality, it's one of the most important squares on the global chessboard. And right now, the Philippines, a seemingly modest player, holds a pivotal position in the ongoing standoff between international law and unrestrained power projection. With rising tensions and growing Chinese assertiveness, the United States has doubled down on its alliance with the Philippines. Under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, joint military exercises have intensified. American troops now have rotational access to key Philippine bases, and funding for infrastructure upgrades has surged. Just this year, the U.S. committed over $100 million in base development projects, signaling a long-term investment in the region's security. President Joe Biden declared, "The United States stands with our allies and partners to uphold a free and open Indo-Pacific."
To build an Indo-Pacific that is free, open, prosperous, and secure for all. And I want to be clear, the United States defense commitments to Japan and to the Philippines are ironclad. They're ironclad. As I've said before, any attack on Philippine aircraft, vessels, or armed forces in the South China Sea would invoke our Mutual Defense Treaty.
That statement isn't just symbolic, it's strategic. At the heart of this partnership lies a shared goal: freedom of navigation. Over $3.5 trillion worth of trade flows through the South China Sea annually. If control over these waters becomes a matter of force rather than law, the global economy would be the first casualty. That's why the Philippines' resistance, through base upgrades, diplomatic outreach, and legal assertions, has become a global concern. As analysts put it, this isn't just about reefs and rocks. It's about rules and rights. But the Philippines isn't standing alone. Within the region, ASEAN remains a key, though divided player. Some member states, like Vietnam and Indonesia, share maritime disputes with China and are increasingly supportive of a firm, collective approach. Others, due to economic dependencies or political caution, remain hesitant. This fragile balance has slowed efforts for a binding code of conduct in the South China Sea. Still, every diplomatic note, every joint patrol, and every unified ASEAN summit statement becomes a quiet step toward regional solidarity. And looming above all this is international law, especially the 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration, which invalidated China's 9-line claims. Yet Beijing refuses to recognize it. The Philippines, on the other hand, wields it like a shield, a legal foundation for asserting its rights. This moment brings to life the writings of Hugo Grotius, the father of modern international law, who envisioned seas governed not by canons, but by common rules. In On the Law of War and Peace, he insisted that the sea belongs to all, a radical idea in his time, but a critical principle now. That's what makes this conflict out of the box. It's not a conventional war, but a struggle for norms. It's not just about deterring attacks. It's about denying the adversary's ability to dominate through surveillance, encroachment, and salami-slicing tactics. In strategic terms, this is deterrence by denial. Deny the gain, and you prevent the aggression. Zoom out further, and the South China Sea starts to look like a test site for global order itself. If China's claims go unchallenged, what stops any nation from rewriting borders by sheer force? That's why nations like Japan, Australia, and India, under frameworks like the Quad and AUKUS, have started patrolling, partnering, and projecting presence in support of stability. These aren't acts of provocation. They're signals of commitment to a rules-based Indo-Pacific. The stakes couldn't be higher. In his book, Destined for War, Graham Allison warns of the Thucydides trap, the pattern of catastrophic conflict when a rising power challenges an established one. China's rise and America's status create that exact scenario today. But the Philippines, through bold, peaceful resistance, may help the world find an off-ramp to escalation. This isn't just geopolitical theory. It's a lived reality for nations with fewer ships but stronger convictions. As Lee Kuan Yew once said, "Even from my sickbed, even if you're going to lower me into the grave and I feel that something is going wrong, I will get up." That's the level of vigilance Southeast Asian leaders know is required. That's what the Philippines is showing. Not just defiance, but design. Not just protest, but strategy. And in doing so, it invites all of us to ask, how do we defend our principles when power tries to push us around? The Philippines' naval upgrades aren't just military logistics. They are a national statement, a defiant answer to creeping surveillance, silent intimidation, and gray zone pressure. These fortified bases, upgraded radars, and stronger alliances are proof. This is a country that refuses to be bullied off its own map. But this isn't only about China or the South China Sea. This is a lesson for the world, for all of us. Because every one of us has our own sovereignty